Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It's the 28th of February 2025. I'm your host, Olivia Grace Curran. The local market is set to open lower. SPY futures are down 68 points. US stocks tumbled on Thursday after President Trump's declaration that tariffs on Canada and Mexico will proceed as planned, while Nvidia earnings also pulled indexes down. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq ending sharply lower, the Dow also finishing in the red. Nvidia dropped after the AI heavyweight gave a weaker than expected quarterly forecast for gross margin that overshadowed an upbeat revenue forecast. Chip makers Broadcom and Advanced Micro Devices also falling. Shares of Salesforce dropped after the business software seller forecast fiscal 2026 revenue below expectations. Snowflake rallied 9% after the data analytics provider forecast fiscal 2026 product revenue above estimates. Shares of Dell Technologies tumbled ahead of the company's Q4 report scheduled for after the bell, while HP shares also slipped ahead of Q1 results. Shares of space exploration firm Initiative Machines fell after launching its second lander on a SpaceX rocket on Wednesday, set to land on the moon's south pole on March 6. Warner Brothers Discovery jumped 10% after saying it expects streaming profits to double this year. Bath & Body Works shares fell following weak annual sales and profit forecasts. And shares of gold miners slipped as bullion prices touched their lowest level in more than 2 weeks. US President Donald Trump says his proposed 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian goods will take effect on March 4, after his administration's concerns of insufficient progress on curbing fentanyl flows into the country. In a post on Truth Social, Trump announced an additional 10% duty on Chinese imports, where he says drugs such as fentanyl are being produced and supplied, resulting in a cumulative 20% tariff. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canada will have an immediate and extremely strong response if the United States imposes tariffs on Canadian imports next Tuesday. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said he will work with Trump on a new economic deal with advanced technology such as AI at its core. On the US data front, weekly initial jobless claims rose by 22,000 to a seasonally adjusted 242,000. Other data from the Commerce Department shows gross domestic product increased at a 2.3% annualized rate last quarter. Investors are now focused on monthly personal consumption expenditure data, which is the Federal Reserve's preferred inflation gauge, due on Friday. Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland President Beth Hammack says she expects the US central bank interest rate policy to be on hold for the time being, with Philadelphia Federal Reserve Bank President Patrick Harker expressing support for continuing to hold short-term US borrowing costs in their current range. US Treasury 10-year yields rose as markets awaited a key inflation report and digested mixed economic numbers. 10-year Treasury notes rose 4.1 basis points to 4.29%. The 2-year rose 3.2 basis points. The US dollar jumped on Trump's latest tariff comments. The pound has weakened and one Aussie dollar is buying 62.3 US cents. Bitcoin has slipped further, currently sitting around 83,000 US dollars a coin. Oil prices rose more than 2% as supply concerns resurfaced after US President Donald Trump revoked a license granted to US oil major Chevron to operate in Venezuela. Investors also keeping an eye on signs of a potential peace deal in Ukraine. Brent crude oil futures were up 2.1%, while gold prices dropped to their lowest in over 2 weeks as the US dollar strengthened, and copper prices have fallen on fresh global trade war worries after US President Donald Trump's proposed tariffs. Locally today, Endeavour Group, Life360, PEXA Group, Star Entertainment, TPG Telecom, Harvey Norman will report earnings and will get data on private sector credit. That does it for the day ahead. I'm Olivia Grace Curran. See you next week.